something more. Not just sound, but surrender.
There we go. There we go. Right. Legends, welcome. Welcome. Whew. Are we going to dump here to the downside? It looks like Bitcoin is getting ready for a little bit of a smackdown here to the downside. Is the momentum continue? Are you in a short position? Are you still holding on, or are you just looking for longs? Right. Let me know, guys. Are you feeling bullish? Are you feeling bearish? Okay, there's a question that I asked my community the other day. I just want to ask you guys here as well. Let me start a poll. And do you think, just want to test some sentiment out there, the bear market has started? Okay, yes, no, there we go. Do you think the bear market has started? Right, there's the poll. Let's go, let's go. I just want to test some sentiment out there because I see from the comments and personal messages that I am receiving a lot of people say that, well, bear market has started. Okay, so let me know, what is your view? Do you think the bear market has started? Do you think we are still inside of bull cycle and this is just a corrective structure here to the downside? Let me hear your thoughts. Are we in denial? Okay, are we in denial thinking that, okay, we are still going to get another high here to the upside and the bull market is still intact? I see a lot of altcoins are popping at the moment, even with the downwards momentum and the correction here to the downside on Bitcoin. Ooh, I see a couple of altcoins absolutely exploding to the upside. One of them being ICP. Oh, ICP, welcome back. I've missed you, ICP. I have missed you. My bags were underwater, okay? And legends, I'm just, I'm that type of person. You only take a loss once you've cashed out. As long as it's an unrealized loss, I just hold on, okay? I can only share with you what I do. The project either dies or it raises out of the ashes into the sky, and ICP has been doing absolutely amazing. I was doing some technical analysis here on Fetch as well, but I mean, guys, ICP, what a pump, supported by volume here to the upside. What an amazing pump. And I mean, it still has a long way to go, okay? If ICP has any chance, okay, of even claiming this high, not even the all-time high over here. I mean, there's still some petrol in the tank, right? There's still some another 100% in the tank. But I mean, we have to stay level-headed, okay? From the low to where price is at the moment, it's already pumped 180%. I told the community a couple of days ago, okay, I just held on. I did take profits, a little bit of profit at the highs. I took profit over there. When we hit the range highs, I took a little bit of profit right over there. But I still have majority, more than 60-70% of the position running here to the upside. I've been building a position in this zone. I was underwater and it broke the trend and bam. What an absolute explosion here to the upside. So even with Bitcoin correcting or falling here to the downside, it's interesting that to see that we're getting a couple of alts popping. We've got ICP popping. I saw AR popping as well. I saw FET, F-E-T. What is it called? Artificial Super Intelligence Alliance. Okay, also pumping. There's a couple of altcoins. Fala Network up 35%. So it seems that some of the altcoins are starting to find their feet. My spot bags are starting to look nice again. Okay, at least some of them are at break even and some of them are back in profits. So that's great to see. Flux. What else is here in the double digits? Manta. Okay, I saw Mina Protocol pumping as well yesterday. I'm very happy about the AR bag that's pumping, but those are some of the double digits that I do see here on my list. Okay, so maybe we can go and check out a couple of altcoins, but I do want to discuss Ethereum as well, because that's ultimately the queen of the alts. Okay. Right, yes, I saw Filecoin exploding as well. Curtis? I think that's how I pronounce your name. I saw Filecoin also exploding, well, a little bit to the upside. So perhaps the altcoins have bled out enough. They filled some of that week to the downside, and they're either getting a relief rally, okay, or the lows in for the alts. And even with Bitcoin tumbling here to the downside, they are potentially only going to make higher lows. Something interesting that I want to point out, I'm not sure if you guys remember, during this, let's go here onto the 4-hour time frame. I want to point out something. Do you guys remember this? 25th of April, okay, the beginning of April. What happened here? If you go back in history and you go check out the altcoins, most of the altcoins made their low over here. That's where the altcoins made their ultimate low. Bitcoin rallied up, okay, and the altcoins absolutely exploded. They got like nice little momentum to the upside. And when Bitcoin made a lower low, the altcoins made a higher low. And then finally the momentum here to the upside and the altcoins absolutely exploded. And this could potentially now be playing out again, where Bitcoin is, okay, making lower lows, okay. That was maybe the low for the alts. Bitcoin is making a lower low, and the altcoins are starting to pop. And even with a retracement, they're potentially going to pull back and make higher lows. And then when Bitcoin potentially finds its feet, okay, yeah, then you're going to see some nice, nice momentum from the altcoins. Something else that I was checking out is Bitcoin dominance. Let's go check out Bitcoin dominance. Ooh, this is also something that I discussed with our community this morning, okay? So here on the daily time frame, let me just make sure that I am on the log scale. Okay, cool. On the daily time frame, and I might have to go to the 2-day time frame. Okay, Bitcoin dominance has lost momentum. It's broken the momentum line. Okay, the trend line. Okay, it's broken the trend line. It tried to get back up, but it failed. And it's very normal for the wick to be filled to at least a 50% Fibonacci. So let me just go back here, take the scribble out the way. So when I now look at this price action, okay, dominance is still trading below the momentum, and that is a sign of weakness. And now you can see with this little drop, just that teeny weeny tiny little drop, you can already see how money is starting to flow back into the old ecosystem. If I measure, okay, just the wick from a Fibonacci perspective, if I measure just the wick from a Fibonacci perspective, okay, we've only tapped the 0.236. But if I take the entire range, it actually rejected here by the 50%, and depending on which scale you use, okay, it will jump around. And time frame. You know, this is the confusing thing about doing proper technical analysis on indicator charts, because you'll see on the 12, look at this, guys. I mean, this is why I get frustrated doing technical analysis on an indicator chart. On the 12-hour time frame, we tap the 7 fib. Can you see? As soon as I jump to the daily time frame, okay, look at now all of the sardines, I have to move my fib, and now we only tap the 50%. Like, it's just, I don't like to do technical analysis on indicator charts, because there's no money flowing through the chart. You have to remember it's an indicator chart. There's no money going through it. Okay. Yes, you can trade it on BTC. I see some people are actually trading the dominance charts. Okay. But it's just a mirror. It just mirrors the price action, and it gives you a profit or a loss based on what's happening. But there's no real money flowing through the indicator chart. But anyways, there's this little upwards momentum that it has been forming. It tried to get acceptance back above. It filled some of this week already, which is great. So if it can break the trend, now that will be amazing. It will come back for a retest. Maybe we create some higher lows on the altcoins, and then I want to see some continuation here to the downside. So dare I say, there is still a chance for an alt season. Maybe it's gonna be a mini alt season. Maybe it's going to be an epic alt season. I don't know. But historically, November and December, during the last 2 months of the year, even January for the altcoins has been absolutely spectacular. So perhaps this alt season has waited until the last minute before it starts kicking off. But you have to acknowledge from a technical perspective, this is weakness. Okay. Let me just go back here to the log scale. It has been crawling up here for many years. Retest, okay, retest, and it lost the momentum. So this, ladies and gentlemen, is a sign of weakness. It tried to get acceptance back above, it failed. So it now needs to lose that momentum line, and we could see a little bit of a rally here to the downside. Okay, maybe that is your next area of support. That is your next area of support. And you basically, I mean, if you want to take your Fibonacci's and go and it's just technical analysis is not great. So what all I'm trying to figure out here on dominance is that is momentum starting to shift? Yes, we've had the trend is your friend until the very end, and now we have lost our little friend. Our little trend and friend has now been lost. Okay, so there's a good chance that we could see some alts absolutely exploding to the upside, like we're seeing with ICP at the moment. And for those of you that did buy with myself and Andy when we said we are buying, and you held on and you didn't capitulate out of your position, well, you should be smiling now, because you should be in profits. And I hope you have taken profits already to the upside. Okay. Right, let's now do a little bit of technical analysis here on the price of Bitcoin, the king of crypto. When everything falls to the downside, everyone just wants to know what's happening with Bitcoin. When dominance starts to drop, all I see on my live streams is check this alt, check this alt, check this alt, check this alt. And when no one asks me check this alt, then I know things are really bad. Okay, so I think that momentum is going to start shifting around. Okay, you see, yeah, I see. Cardano, please. Right, who's is ICP, AR, okay? People are already starting to ask for alts. As soon as the alts starts getting a little bit of love, everyone just wants technical analysis on their favorite alt. But this is a Bitcoin channel, so we can first spend a little bit of time here on Bitcoin. Then I can go through a couple of alts, okay? Let me just move up a little bit here, put myself nicely in the middle. Guys, I have to admit, I did not do any very limited technical analysis before I went live. I was just like, well, we're going to do some live technical analysis. I did provide a couple of scenarios that I'm looking at for the Legends Pro community this morning, but I didn't necessarily go in depth from a preparation perspective for this live stream. So we are just going to do raw technical analysis here. Right, so let's quickly, I have to just start with the most bearish case scenario at the moment. Let's talk about the most bearish case scenario so that if it does play out, okay, we knew that it was a possibility. And that is the doomsday scenario here to the downside. Okay, I can actually just want to see something here. I might have to update the scenario. Anyways, guys, but you get the point. The doomsday scenario, and I will go and update this because, like I said, I didn't have time to prepare for this live stream as I would have liked to. But the doomsday scenario is that we just continuing momentum to the downside. Okay, and we ultimately eat up the low. The one thing that I did highlight, because someone asked the question inside of one of my live streams to say that, well, Dewald, are we potentially busy now with the wave 3 here to the downside? Are we now busy with this wave 3? And the answer is, it could be, but something bugs me about this wave 3. There's something that's a little bit bugging me about this wave 3 over here, is because when you form, okay, and this is just based on theory, okay, nothing else, when you form a 1 and a 2, it needs to fall, and you want to see volume starting to increase, and it's not falling with volume. It's falling, chopping, falling, chopping, falling, chopping. It's not getting aggressive momentum to the downside, which technically shows me that there's a lot of interest still in this zone. Okay. People, whales are still buying up the dip. Institutions are still buying up the dip. It's not capitulating. But if it does, okay, this is the scenario that could potentially still, it's the worst case scenario that I do have here on the chart. It does not carry the highest probability at the moment, but we need to be aware of it. Okay, so for me, once price takes the low, and I'm not going to go through this whole spiel again in terms of market structure because I've gone through that in every single live stream. It is the retracement that's going to be interesting to start exiting some positions. If you are in swing trades or you have seasonal bags, it will be interesting to start exiting positions. I have received the question from a couple of people already saying that, Dewald, you have said that you are going to sell everything in August and October. Okay, so let me answer that question today. Yes, I did say that. But when I made that comment, I would have expected a proper alt season. So when I bought my bags, which is now most of them still at break even, maybe slightly in profit, and some of them still underwater, okay, we have not had a proper alt season yet. I was expecting those highs to be claimed. We wanted the euphoria in the air, and that did not come. That is the problem. So there wasn't a way in for me to take profits. I did take profits on some altcoins, and I think what I also highlighted to our community is that my two biggest winners, where I took the most profits, that put the best profits in my spot bags, was XRP and Ethereum. Okay, And I still have a bag of XRP running, and I still have a bag of Ethereum running. Right, but we did not get that proper alt season that we are waiting for. So what I do in that instance is that, okay, I said I'm going to sell in August and October from a 4-year cycle theory perspective. But there's a lot of things that did not happen. So I am not going to sell at a loss or at break even. I will just hold on. I did reallocate some of my bags. I did actually get rid of a lot of altcoins, and I cleaned up my portfolio. So there's a lot of alts that I used to hold that I'm not holding anymore, but now I actually hold bigger bags of very selective alts. Okay, some of them are Link, Ethereum, ICP. I've got some Fetch or FET. I don't know if it's Fetch or FET. Okay. I've got Litecoin. I still got Doge. So I've just narrowed down my bag, but I cannot exit at break even or at a loss. Then I just hold on. So the project either goes to zero, or maybe we break the 4-year cycle and we get an absolute alt rally next year that no one was expecting. But I need certain levels to be hit in order to take profits. I need to stick to my plan. My plan was I'm going to take profits at specific levels for each altcoin that I've worked out. And if those levels aren't hit, well, then I'm not taking profits. I will keep on adding with every single dip. From a Bitcoin perspective, okay, guys, I need to answer this question. I will carry on with the technical analysis in a moment. From a Bitcoin perspective, I will never sell my Bitcoin for at least 15 years. Even if this scenario plays out. And we have a beautiful retracement. Because my Bitcoin that I'm accumulating is long-term bags, guys. It is maxi bags. You've heard that intro where I say that I'm a Bitcoin maxi. My goal is to see how much Bitcoin I can accumulate. How much profit can I make from my old bags and then push all those profits back into Bitcoin. I ain't selling any Bitcoin. In fact, I will be buying up the dips. And if it wants to fall further, yeah, I will be buying up the dip. I will just keep on buying. I will hold through the bull markets and I will hold through the bear markets and I will just keep on adding. I ain't selling my Bitcoin. That is just my strategy for at least the next 15 years. I just can't hold on to it forever. At some point, I need to, take profits. But not in the short term or medium term. Okay, that's truly a long-term bag for me. Right. Because, you have to also, you have to classify your portfolio. Well, you have a long-term portfolio. Do you have a seasonal portfolio? Are you a day trader? My seasonal bags, I will definitely sell. Okay. If it hits the profit-taking areas that I have identified. If it doesn't, I just keep on adding. If the project dies, then it dies. And that is why you need to diversify your portfolio. Okay. Right, let's carry on with the technical analysis. Remember to smash up that like button. Okay, we had a pump, 700%. And don't forget, a lot of holders are in from 20k. Yes, I was hoping for 500k. They call it Trump dump now on CNBC. I was hoping for SFP on 105k earlier. Okay, well, let's see. I'm going to dive into the smaller time frame in a moment. Let's just quickly go through some higher time frame analysis here on the 4 hour. I'm almost done. I just wanted to talk about the worst case scenario is that if this just dumps, okay, then we're going to know, okay, well, there's a good chance if it dumps, volume starts increasing, we could be busy with this little third wave over here. Okay. So that's one thing that we need to pay attention to. Right, so let's take the doomsday scenario here out the way. In the short term, the worst case scenario that I see here on the price of Bitcoin is looking at this little local structure here to the downside. Well, I can see a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave structure, a 3 wave corrective structure. Okay, and now I can see another 1, 2, 3. So it can make another 4 and a 5. And then you repeat that. You repeat it over here. Okay, so you could get a relief rally, or the lowest in, and then we'll analyze whether this is a 5-wave structure or whether this is a 3-wave structure. Exactly the same pain that we went through over here. Okay, so for now, it looks like one more dip that's not going to successfully smash to the downside is in order. This is now that, or the scenario at the moment that carries the highest probability based on volume and areas of support to the downside, and also considering the local structure, Elliott wave theory. Okay, it seems that one more dip here to the downside to complete a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is in order. It is this pump that's going to be very interesting. Is it going to be corrective, or is it going to be impulsive and we continue? But I mean, there's still a lot that needs to happen before we can give those scenarios any probabilities at the moment. Okay, so for now, yeah, on the 4-hour time frame, okay, just purely from a support and resistance perspective, let me do this here on the Binance chart. Okay, let me switch on my support and resistance. I'm going to keep it very simple over here. I drag that folder up. Okay, there we go. Okay. From a support and resistance perspective, I have all my levels already marked out. There are weekly levels, there are point of controls, there are daily levels, there are weekly naked point of controls. I've used the VRVP, I've looked at the price action, so I've simplified it and I've just included some boxes. Red boxes to the upside is resistance, and the green boxes to the downside is nice support. So at the moment, you can see if I zoom into this little price action that we formed right here, okay, we were holding on to this little support box that I have here, just barely holding on, and now it looks like we're losing it. Okay, so a sign of a bullish sign would be for price to get back above. Price needs to get back above before I will consider any longs. I am not interested in any longs where price is at the moment. It's below my resist or below my support. So here is a massive zone of support between $96,600 and $94,000. Okay, also when you zoom into, you've got this consolidation area. Okay, and you also have the point of control of this entire range smack there in the middle. Okay, so this is a strong area of support, and I at least expect a relief bounce in this zone. It would be very strange for price to just loop, okay, because then that's going to be very bearish as per the previous scenario, because then you're looking for a 4 and a 5 back to the downside. Okay, so yes, you could get the longing opportunity, the shorting opportunity, right? But there's, you know, we need price to show us the way. Okay, so we have nice support, and if things get really ugly to the downside, we still have support at $88,000 and $84,000. And believe me when I say that even these two boxes are bullish, because price from a structural perspective will still form a higher low. If the structure could get to an end over here, you still have a higher low. And there's still a chance to go and claim that high, regardless of how bad things get inside of this zone. Okay, from a day trading perspective or from a short-term perspective, now that pivot looks very interesting. I would like to see a swing from that pivot. Okay, price dips below, gets acceptance back above. Now that is a sign of strength. Nice little long to the upside. It's either going to be corrective, okay, or it's going to be impulsive. It could be the low. We'll have to analyze it, and you all know what happens. Okay, let me just switch this back off. After a fall to the downside, I might have to use this chart because, you know, we have that scam week there on most of the charts. Okay, after a massive fall to the downside, the hard work, okay, the hard work is analyzing that structure. Is it bullish or is it bearish? And remember, guys, while we analyze this structure, I kept on saying that the highest probability is to claim the low again. because it looks like a three-wave structure. It smells like a three-wave structure, and the levels balance beautifully from the three-wave structure. We discussed many bullish case scenarios while the structure was forming as well, and it invalidated those bullish case scenarios. Okay, but also the structure to the upside was just such an ugly 5-wave impulsive structure. And we're going to go through the same pain once price finds the bottom and it starts recovering back to the upside. Well, what is this going to be? Is it impulsive or is it corrective? And we need to look for shorts again. We need to look for shorts, and we're going to continue to the downside. Okay, but inside of these zones, I can tell you now, inside here, there was a lot of trading, day trading opportunities. There was point of controls, there was daily levels, there was SFPs, there was D-line breakouts. I mean, I had a party inside of this zone, okay, from a day trading perspective. So in the short term, what I am looking for is, okay, let's just keep it simple. I'm looking for price to break down, and it needs to get acceptance back below, above this low. Okay, this is a no trading zone unless you can catch this SFP. Okay, or maybe you catch the SFP from the lows. Maybe it's going to get scary and it dips a little bit lower, scaring the crap out of everyone, and then it starts bouncing back to the upside. Okay, so now this is the question. Okay, if I look at the structure, let's go back to this chart. This local structure to the downside. Now you can see I'm starting to zoom into the structures. Okay, let's now just focus on this structure. Okay, let's focus on this structure. It is either a 5-wave move to the downside. So it falls. Okay, it completes the 5th wave and it gets acceptance back above. After a 5-wave move, you do expect a 3-wave corrective structure, and then you get continuation. So I can take advantage of that little structure, and this is what I'm looking to trade. Okay, I just don't know how far the 5th wave is going to go, and that's why I highlighted the support to the downside. We need to look at those support levels to the downside. Okay, the danger of forming a 5-wave structure to the downside is that you could have the 3-wave up and continuation. That is unfortunately the danger. Okay. Right. Or the structure has formed an ABC. Not that one. Okay. But then, if it's an ABC, let me just put the 5-wave structure off, okay, which is complete. This is the low for now. You don't really want to take this low. Okay, you don't really want to take this low at the moment. So is there a chance where the bulls can step in and everyone is expecting price to just, and it turns around? I'm ready for that scenario, because all I'm going to do in this scenario is apply my trading strategy. So if I go to the 1 hour time frame, this is what I'm waiting for, guys. You know, from a trading perspective, okay, there's a nice little trend running down here, which is still far away for me to do anything. Okay, so I can't trade this at the moment. I just have to sit on my hands and wait. But then there's another one running down here. Okay, so depending on which one breaks, okay, I will be ready. I will be ready with my trading scenario. And to the downside, I will be ready with some SFP levels to the downside. But from a D-line perspective, well, there's nothing to do at the moment. From a swing failure perspective, you can pay attention to the levels to the downside. Most interesting levels, okay, you take a trend-based FIB from the high to the low to the B high, and you drag it across. And these are the levels that I will be paying attention to the downside. Maybe I can snipe that low. Remember, guys, I told you one of my strengths is sniping the lows. So maybe I'm not even going to wait for the D-line. Okay, maybe I'm not even going to wait for this. Maybe I get in here. Maybe I get in here. Maybe I get in here. Because I know I can have 3 attempts. And depending on how I trade it, I either take very small losses or I get stopped out to break even every single time until it starts turning around. So these are the levels that I will be paying attention to. The most interesting level being the 1.618. Very, 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 very interesting level. Okay, that is if price does smash the low over here. If it does not, then I will be paying attention to my trend. Okay, because we know that there is a chance for the bulls that this low can hold for now. And what if everyone is expecting price to dip and it doesn't, and it just turns around? Well, I want to catch this momentum, and I'm going to take profits there by the high, because it could still be, okay, this is now the problem. When you form a 1, 2, 3, okay, this could still be an A, B, C, and then you fall in a fifth wave. So it can create a flat, and this is why I will be paying attention to this level. Okay, or acceptance back above the lows. So depending on how price is going to react, I will know where to pull the trigger. Or you could say that, no, this is, I have no idea what to do here. This just sounds like a mess to me, Dewald. I don't know what you're going to do over there. Well, then you wait for the break of the trend, close some high time frame candles above. You know where to put your stop loss. So if price does this, okay, you know where to put your stop loss. You'll have to just enter with less capital, because now you have risk to contend with, massive risk to contend with, and then this always becomes a great profit taking area. Okay, that pivot and that pivot becomes a great profit taking area. The most common flat corrective structure is a B, C that takes the high, that takes the low, but you could get a running flat that pumps and it turns around before it takes the high. Okay, so that is why it's important to have TP1 and TP2 and even TP3 areas. So this is how I'm planning to trade this zone. Okay, B flat can also be calculated in the following way. Just for, if you guys want to be sniper about this, okay, you really want the best level. So if this is the A, okay, if this is an A and this is forming a larger B, okay, and then it gets acceptance back above, well, let me show you all the B flat targets. You take your trend base fib. Okay, let me just take that brush out the way so I can see those pivots clearly. You take your trend base fib from the low to the high. You drag it across. You reverse it to the downside. I want to switch on the 0.9 because that's also a flat target. And this entire zone is where you want to see the bounce. Okay, price is almost there. That is where you want to see the bounce. That is the flat target zone. I have gotten the question, Dewald, but if let's say price does this, then people are going to say, Dewald, it's not a flat. It didn't claim the low. No, the minimum target for a flat is the 0.9. It does not have to claim the lows. Doesn't have to. That is a flat target. Okay. But then you wait for the trend. Right, anyways guys, that's basically what I wanted to discuss here on the price of Bitcoin. So now let's go and, well, before I continue, remember to smash up that like button if you haven't done so already. Okay, let me go through some comments. Dewald, move from 160 can be C wave. Let's go through this. Okay, move from 116 can be a C wave. Yes, it can. I know. Okay, A, B, C. I know. But then you have to classify this the high. Okay. A, B, or W, a X in a flat, and then a ABC in a Y. Anyways, guys, I'm not going to try and overlay it into the bigger structure. It just doesn't make really sense to me because this looks like a B. Okay. And after a B, you can't have an ABC. Unless it's an X, then you can have an A, B, C. But now you have a flat and X. Anyways, guys, I will come back to you with that scenario, but let's entertain it. Yes, it can be an ABC. You have 5, 3, 5. And then the low is in and you continue. But basically it aligns with my technical analysis. Once you've made the low and you start getting this, yeah, I need to analyze that structure to see if it's bullish or bearish. Because this structure will tell me if you're going to take this low again. Like the highest probability during this zone the entire time was to take that low again. That was always the highest probability. We did entertain bullish case scenarios, but they never had the highest probability. So there's still a lot that needs to happen, like I've highlighted on the larger time frame in the beginning of the stream. So yes, there is a chance for an A, B, C, 5, 3, 5. For those of you that don't know, 535 is a corrective structure. It's either an ABC or a WXY, but it's a lightning bolt. You want to find the low and you want to continue and take out the high again. Okay, that's basically what an ABC is. It's a 535. Right, so very interesting zone if we do take the low. Very, very interesting zone. But just remember, it could turn out to be a flat. What if this is a 1, 2, 3, okay, 4, 5, and it does this in a flat, A, B, C, and then it falls in a 5. And that's where people get confused, because price might dip here, okay, it dips below, and people are, nailed it. I nailed it. I caught it. Okay, fucking, I go in heavy. 100x, 50x heavy leverage with the entire portfolio. Okay, price pumps here in the C wave to the upside, and it smacks them out again. Well, then I'm going to tell you, well, it was an ABC, and now you've only completed your fifth wave to the downside. So, a couple of scenarios you need to pay attention to. Anyways, legends now. Okay, ironic how 94k is a big 0.618 and the fifth wave target of the 1.618. Yes, yes, yes. Very interesting zone. And that's why I say ID Dark Striker, that's why I will be paying attention in that zone on the larger time frame. And that is where I have my support box as well. Okay, that support box, guys, these resistance and supports has been so well respected. Okay, they have been so well respected. Look at this. Okay, look at this. And I haven't changed these levels in forever. The only thing I did this morning is I went and I changed the colors, because some of them were green and some of them were still red. So I went and I changed the colors. But look at this resistance. Even yesterday, we pumped into resistance and we fell to the downside. Now we're losing support. So the next area of support is 1.618 that you've just highlighted for fifth wave target. Anyways, very interesting. Right, so let me just take the scribble here out the way. Switch this off. What I want to do now is go to ETH, guys. Let's talk about Ethereum here quickly. Something very interesting on Ethereum that I'm picking up, and you will notice that it seems that you have some alts absolutely exploding to the upside, and then ETH is just it's struggling. Okay, it's like there's no gas in the tank. Okay, maybe it's still filling up its rocket engines. I don't know what ETH is doing at the moment. Right, but let's go and check it out. Why am I there? We go. So I want to go to the 4-hour time frame, and let's just look at the structure. Okay, and this is something that I've shared with the Legends Pro community as well. Okay, guys, remember, if you want to trade Bitcoin and Ethereum, you want to use great exchanges. The links are down in the description. And I know I always say in my live streams, I've spoken to the community. Yes, I do speak a lot to the community. I post screenshots, my thinking processes. I post some videos. Andy does analysis in there. We've got Dylan, absolute legend with all the altcoins. So if you guys want access to that, the link is down in the description. I think it says Legends Pro Community. Okay, so now ETH has created a nice little 5-wave structure to the upside. And I can now confirm that this is the end of the 5th wave. And you might be asking yourself why, because remember, there was another scenario where you have a 1, 2, 3, and we thought we're doing 4 and we're going up for another 5th wave. I can now confirm that this is 5. We had a very short 4th wave, and that's fine. Okay, that's fine. So let me do this quickly and just show you the 4th wave got invalidated. When you take a fib from the low of 2 to the high of this pivot, you drag it across. The 0.618 has been claimed, and that is an invalidation for a 5th wave, and you still expect another 5th leg to the upside, which is great, because this is a scenario that I have been talking about for long, is to say that, well, if we can claim the 0.618 invalidating another 5th wave, that's actually way more bullish for Ethereum. Potentially, it could be way more bullish for Ethereum, because after a 5 wave to the upside and you get a corrective structure to the downside, guess what, guys? Let me paint this out for you, the bullish case scenario, because there's a bearish case scenario. but let's talk about the bullish case scenario. If you have 5 waves to the upside, you can label that a wave 1. You have a 3-wave corrective structure to the downside, guess what? You can label that a wave 2. And what you get next is going to blow your socks off, because then you get a wave 3. That's way more bullish than this being a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Remember what I said during the other live streams. I don't want this. I want this to be the 5th wave. And I want the correction to show me that the top is in. And the correction has now showed me that this top is in for now. And we have a 5-wave move up. What's happening here to the downside has a higher probability of being corrective. So it's either an A, B, C, or it's a 1, 2, 3. Okay, if it's a 1, 2, 3, you still expect a 4 and a 5. A 5-wave structure needs to have a partner leg. Okay, right, so let me just clean up the mess here in the kitchen. So there's a couple of scenarios, maybe 2 scenarios that I'm watching here on the price of Ethereum. Okay, so after you've made the high at the 5th wave, I can count this corrective structure in either a W, X, where X formed a triangle, A, B, C, D, E, it formed a triangle, okay? And now you are forming an A, which is either done or it's still going to make one more low. Because an A wave can be a 3-wave structure or it can be a 5-wave structure. If it's a 5-wave structure, then you can get a B and another C to the downside, and then you continue. So you get a W, X, Y, and you have an A, B, C inside of your Y wave. Okay, so there is still the chance that ETH, and this is why I have this little arrow. Do you guys see the arrow? Okay, A is either done, it's either finito, or it's going to finito over here. My mouse is backing up over here. If the A wave is done over here and it makes a higher low and it continues to the upside in an A wave that has a 3-wave structure, you have to create a B wave that taps this box, the flat. So as long as ETH can hold this low, it has a chance to come to this box. That's what I'm trying to highlight over here. Then you have a 3-wave A, a 3-wave B. It has to tap a flat target, and the minimum target is the 0.9, which is at the bottom of this box. And then you will still want to see another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to the downside. So after this is all said and done, you can see, well, it's still bullish for Ethereum. 5 waves up, 3-wave corrective structure, comes to an end. It still creates a higher low. Okay, still creates a higher low, and you see continuation to the upside in that explosive 3rd wave. Unfortunately, this correction is still going to take some time. Okay, if this is a larger WXY, that's still going to play out here. And you still need to form your A, you still need to form your B, you still need to form your C. You can see that this is still going to take a lot of time. So the question is there a scenario where the low could be almost done, where we don't do all of this? So yes, there is a scenario. Okay, so let me switch this off, and it is basically an ABC. Here we go. A simple ABC, or maybe not as simple for most people. After you formed the high, you formed a 3-wave in an A wave. And then you formed a triangle, A, B, C, D, E, and a B wave. And now this last leg to the downside is your C wave. And then it is done. After which you expect a 5-wave impulsive structure to the upside, and then the corrective structure becomes a great buying opportunity. Okay, or maybe you have a strategy to catch this low. Right, so in this last leg now here to the downside is we want ETH to still take the low. Okay, so when I zoom in here, you want this low to be taken. Because you need to form in a C wave, you have to have a 5-wave structure. And at the moment, it's a 3-wave structure. And this is why I have the WXY scenario on the chart as well, because there's a chance that it makes a higher low and it continues, and then we have to consider the WXY structure. But it is very difficult, okay? I'll give it some more thought, and maybe Joan, if you're here in the live stream, maybe you can help me out as well. It's very difficult with high probability for me to say that this is the end and it's only up from here, up from there. It either still needs to create the fifth wave, the dump, guys. It doesn't need to end over here. All I'm saying is it just needs to claim the low again. You want to see a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That has a higher probability of then being the low, and you could get momentum back to the upside to complete the third wave. If this low does not get claimed and price makes a higher low and it continues, then it's very difficult for me to count this as the end. And there's a higher chance that the corrective structure could continue. Okay. Now, those are basically the two scenarios. So what you want to see in the short term for ETH is if ETH takes the low, it's going to be looking very interesting for Mr. ETH over here. Very interesting, okay? Because it could be the end of C, and you could start getting upwards momentum. It's also, you know, at a very interesting Fibonacci level. If you take a fib from the high to the from the low to the high, it's here at the 50%, okay? And I really, really, really like that little consolidation area, because I think there's a lot of people waiting for this zone. Okay, there's a point of control, aligns with a 0.7. Okay, but it would be nice to get a little bit of a front run over here. So I want ETH to drop, okay, and get acceptance back above the point of control in that range. And I will be looking for a swing trade, okay, depending on how price reacts there. Right, so that is what I see on Ethereum. Okay, so I did see there has been some requests for some other altcoins. Let's go through them. I see someone spoke about AR, so let's go and have a look at AR as well. Remember, guys, if you want to come and trade with me, you go down in the description of this video. First, what you need to do is you need to click on that little thumbs up. Okay, you expand the description, and then I've got Bluffin, Weeks, and BTCC. BTCC, you can trade stocks and commodities as well using your crypto. Weeks, absolute 20% cashback, 25% discount on your trading fees. You get upgraded to VIP status 1. You only get this by using the links down in the description. Okay, and then Bluffin has now increased their cashback to 20%. Okay, I must say, guys, Bluffin at the moment still one of my favorite exchanges to trade on, and that's why it's on #1 spot. Okay, and then of course, if you want to join our Legends Pro community, there's the link. So let's go and look at AR quickly, guys, and I'm going to run through this very quickly. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on each altcoin, because I see if I discuss an altcoin that someone else is not interested in, then people just drop off the live stream. So I'm trying to also discuss things that will be entertaining to most. So the one thing I have to acknowledge and share over here is that AR, and I highlighted this yesterday in our communities to say, guys, woo, look at the breakout. Is it going to follow suit with what ICP is doing? A beautiful breakout here at the moment, okay? 40% pump in 2 days. Well, that actually happened in 1 day. It happened yesterday. 42% pump in 1 day. And all you could have done is applied your trading strategy, okay? Breaks the trend, bam, here to the upside. I think what's interesting about AR on the larger time frame, okay? I'm not going to do small time frame analysis here on AR. On the larger time frame, it looks extremely interesting. Dare I say, it looks extremely interesting, and maybe I'm the only peanut in the packet that's saying that maybe, just maybe, we are going to get an altcoin season that no one is expecting. Just maybe. Because AR has a beautiful bullish structure. You have a wave 1 to the upside, and you have an A, B, C to the downside. You potentially form a wave 2, and now we're potentially going up for the third wave. Looks very interesting. And all of this was a correction. All of this was a correction for this impulse during the previous bull cycle. this altcoin and many other altcoins has still corrected. And only now have they made their low for this impulse. And this is maybe why everything has been so delayed, because they needed to finish their corrective structures. Very interesting. Okay. Guys, I mean, if this, if this token blasts here to the upside to $140, $200, okay, you heard it, you heard it here first, okay? If it doesn't, well, I'm just going to hold on, because you all know that I have an AR bag. And when I did the larger time frame analysis on AR, I was just like, there's ain't no ways that I am selling any of my AR. There's no ways, because after a high, and I see a 3-wave structure to the downside. Whoa. Okay. It's not guaranteed that's going to make the 3rd wave. It has high probability because it could do this and do another wave. Okay. And then maybe you form a little diagonal here to the downside. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But you still expect a relief rally even if AR makes another low. But for now, the highest probability is a completed 3-wave structure, after which you want to see continuation to the upside. So on the macro, for me, it makes sense to still hold on to AR, even if it makes another low. I will just hold through it. Okay. Right. Also, guys, Cosmos, I wanted to sell my Atom bags, and I was just like, there's no ways I can sell my Atom bags. Okay, there's just no ways I can sell my Atom bags at the moment. I know it looks like a little bit messy over here, but guys, here on the 3-day chart, remember this is macro analysis. You have a low, you have a high, you have a long corrective structure, you have an impulsive structure. You still at the 786, which is a bullish bouncing target. Okay, there's just no ways I can sell my Atom at the moment. So when I did that cleanup exercise on my altcoin portfolio, I did high time frame analysis on those alts, and the ones that still have intact bullish structures, okay, the ones that still have a beautiful impulse and you have a corrective structure that has not claimed the low, specifically looking at the Coinbase chart, because I'm ignoring the wicks on some of the features charts. Like for me, that is still bullish. So I'm still holding on to my Atom bags here at the moment. Okay. And then I've got Link, guys. I've got Link. Okay. I've got Doge. I actually sold my Rune. Believe it or not, I sold my Rune and I funneled that money into some other altcoins. I've got Litecoin. I've got ICP, Cosmos, AR, and obviously I've got different percentages allocated to these specific alts. I think the biggest ones at the moment is Ethereum, Chainlink, and ICP. Those are my biggest bags, and Litecoin. Those 4 are my biggest bags. Okay, I don't have a lot of altcoins in my portfolio anymore. Right. Dewald, short local analysis on ICP. Have you guys not heard the analysis on Andy's live stream? Because he has been talking about ICP like a crazy person, okay? Because Andy has a nice bag. Andy has a nice bag of ICP, okay? Right. I mean, is this ICP? Yes, this is ICP. Let's see. On the log scale, okay, it's obviously made another fresh low. Is this the Coinbase? Yes, it did actually take the low, but this could be the spring point. Me and Andy discussed it to say that could be a spring point. Okay, you grab the liquidity and off to the races you go. Right? For the moment, there is just nothing to analyze. Okay? Well, there's nothing to trade. Let me rephrase. There's nothing to trade over here unless you jump into the smaller time frames like the 15-minute time frame, and you can apply a trading strategy inside of this price action. D-line strategy, swing failure patterns. If you want to day trade altcoins, be my guest. I don't like to day trade altcoins. I like to swing trade them and spot bags. That's my favorite. Okay. I do not like to day trade altcoins, but when I do see a clear opportunity, I will day trade them sometimes. But 97% of my day trading is done on Bitcoin. Okay. So for the moment, there's nothing to do here on ICP from a trading perspective. But yes, it definitely does have the potential to smack these highs. Definitely has the potential. Okay. Just want to see what's happening in this zone. Let's go to the regular. Just want to see what is cooking. Why do you keep on doing that? Okay, let's do this. I mean, looking at this entire range, ICP is above the naked point of control, the highest volume node. Okay, and there's not much happening here compared to here, and it's above that level. Okay, so there's a good chance that ICP is going to come and smack these highs in the coming months, maybe weeks. The way that it's moving now, it looks like it's going to be weeks instead of months. Okay, so if you do have an ICP back, I already took a little bit of profits at these highs, like I've highlighted, and okay, TP1, TP2. And maybe you take your initial investment out plus a little bit of profits, and you can leave a moonbag to run to the upside. Okay, it's difficult for me to do Elliott wave analysis because you took this low. So I can't use this structure as a bullish structure to calculate a third wave because you took the low. Okay, so yes, this looks impulsive. This does look like a three-wave corrective structure. You have a spring point from a accumulation, Wyckoff schematic. You have a spring point, and there's a chance you can come and eat up the highs. From a trading perspective, there's nothing for me to do at the moment. Okay, you all know, and I've said it during many live streams. Andy also said it during many live streams. We bought inside of this zone. That's where we bought. And from a spot bag perspective, and I just held on. That's all I did. I just held on. During this dip, I held on. It broke the trend. There was your trading opportunity. Okay, and I mean, if you want to do small time frame analysis, you can go onto the 1 hour and you can do your fixed range profiles inside of these little zones. Okay, because there was most probably another little trading opportunity. If I look at this little zone over here, let's just do the full range. Yes, you. Let me take this one out. Okay, price pumped, rejected at the value area high, swing failure. Okay, fell back to the point of control. That was actually a great buying opportunity, and now you've broken out of the value area high. So potentially next trading opportunity is you wait for price to come back to the value area high. It needs to hold the area of support. It needs to do a RS flip. That becomes a buying opportunity. Maybe there's a nice little trend. You play the breakout to the upside. So I don't really want to go into the smaller time frames now, but yes, you can trade these things. Okay, and this is just not a zone to FOMO in. If you don't have a plan, don't FOMO in. Okay. Right. When are you selling Link? At what price? I don't know if I want to sell my Link, to be honest with you. I know Andy is gutful of his Link. Andy wants to get out of his Link, but I don't know if I want to sell my Link. Okay, but I will definitely take profits at these highs. So if Link in the coming months claims this high and claims this high, I will take my initial investment out and I will leave the spot bags maybe open to run to go and claim that high. If it doesn't, well, then I will just ride it out, but at least I will have my initial investment out. Okay, just to keep it simple. Okay, cool legends. I have unfortunately run out of time. There's some other things I need to do. Remember to smash up that like button. Links for the exchanges that I use, remember, are down in the description. Have yourselves an amazing weekend. Please trade safe. Please do not FOMO into trades, guys. Even if you use 2x leverage, you all know that you can still get liquidated on 2x leverage. Okay? Please trade safe out there. Have clear invalidations. Enjoy your weekend. Until the next one. Cheers for now.